Hi everyone, thanks very much for joining me. So in this video I'm just going to run through some of the movies that I've watched in the past week, a bit of a mixed bag here, so please let me know in the comments below what you think of these movies if you've seen them. First up, having recently enjoyed Chilly Scenes of Winter, which I talked about in a previous video, I went back to an earlier film from director Joan Micklin-Silver, and that was her 1977 film Between the Lines. In this one she also collaborates with the actor John Hurt, and it's actually his film debut. Now, director Joan Micklin-Silver had previously worked as a writer for The Village Voice, and this film is about independent journalism. It's about an independent newspaper that's under threat of being taken over by a wealthy publisher. The film, if you like, is a clarion call. It's signifying the potential death of independent journalism and a goodbye to counterculture. The film has an ensemble cast and deals with the various characters' lives, loves and attitudes as they're going through this sort of potentially transitional phase. Significantly different to Chilly Scenes of Winter is that Joan Micklin-Silver doesn't actually write the script on this one. This one has a script by Fred Barron, adapting a story by David Halpern. And if I have a bit of a niggle with the film, if you like, it's that the script is a bit scattershot and erratic, so the film does jump around a little bit as we kind of use this fly on the wall approach of looking at all of these various characters. But that being said, it is a great ensemble cast. John Hurt in his film debut is very good, and he has great chemistry with the lovely Lindsay Krause, who looks impossibly young in this. She was a lovely actress who went on to star in David Mamet's House of Games. The cast also includes Bruno Kirby, Jeff Goldblum, Michael J. Pollard, Stephen Collins, and also briefly you've got Marilu Henner as a stripper, and also the band Southside Johnny and the Dukes appear on this as well. So yeah, I enjoyed Between the Lines, but not as much as Chilly Scenes of Winter. Like I say, it is a bit too kind of scattershot in its approach, but yeah, there's loads of good scenes here and some good humour, and clearly it's a project that was close to Joan Micklin-Silver's heart. Summer 1993 is a film from 2017, and it's directed by the Spanish director Carla Simon. This is a really interesting film. It's autobiographical in nature and filmed in beautiful Catalonia countryside locations that are known to the director. Essentially, this is a character study of a young 6-year-old girl. The girl at the beginning of the film has clearly suffered the loss of her parents, and she is dispatched off to the countryside from Barcelona to this Catalonia hillside house where her aunt and uncle live with their young 3-year-old daughter, and she then has to process what has happened. So she has to try and understand what has happened to her parents, and she has to try and understand her new surroundings and how she fits into all of this. So yeah, this is a really interesting film. Young Laia Artigas plays the 6-year-old, and it's quite an extraordinary performance. At times she is very quiet, at other times her behaviour comes out in kind of cruel and spiteful and obstinate ways. All the while she is just trying to process this loss of her parents and her new surroundings before eventually it all makes some kind of mental sense to her and her grief can come out. So yeah, really interesting film. Like I say, extraordinary performance from the young Laia Artigas here. I don't know how they managed to achieve that. So yeah, well observed character study, very interesting film, and I do want to just sort of shout out to Chris Mohan, because actually he had done a review of Carla Simon's more recent film Alsaras, so I thought I would check out this film before going on to watch that. So thanks Chris, if you're watching. Air from 2023 is directed by Ben Affleck, and it's an underdog story. It tells of the Nike Corporation's attempts in 1984 to secure the basketball player Michael Jordan so that they can launch their successful brand of sneaker, the Air Jordan. This is a classically kind of templated film. It has a spring in its step, it is laced with good dialogue, and it has great arch support from character actors who relish the lines and really enjoy delivering the monologues. It is also coated with a fine aesthetic appeal from the cinematographer Robert Richardson. So yeah, everything works well here to create a great product. This is a film where you might actually be thinking of your slippers more than sneakers, because it's just a comfortable movie to slip into, a one-size-fits-all kind of movie for the family that just tells a tale with wit and humour and pace, and it's just enjoyable to watch these actors go to work on this great script. So the cast includes Matt Damon, we've got Chris Tucker, Chris Messina, Ben Affleck himself, and Viola Davis, and Jason Bateman, and all of them are just working really well here to just tell a good story. And it is a good story, and you don't need to have basketball knowledge or be a sports fan to enjoy this tale. So perhaps unlike, say, Steven Soderbergh's High Flying Bird, where you kind of really needed to understand the business of basketball, this is a film you can just enjoy for the script and the great cast. The Doll Squad from 1973 is directed by Ted V. Michaels. He's an independent filmmaker, perhaps best known for the film Astro Zombies, and he also directed in 1965 what was possibly the first blaxploitation film, The Black Klansman. Now, The Doll Squad is a pretty lightweight action caper, in the kind of James Bond style, I suppose, with a few gadgets here. But yeah, this is very, very low budget stuff, pretty wooden acting, but kind of fun because of that. Francine York is the head of the Girl Squad, and she has a number of attractive assassins with her who go in search of this terrorist organization. It is very noticeably low budget, and it does have pacing issues as well, which does make it drag at times, which is unfortunate. But when it's fun, it's fun. These women get to use cigarette lighter flamethrowers, and they get to spike people's drinks with a product that makes the person explode when they drink it. So yeah, there's some fun in that, and also just seeing the girls running around in green jumpsuits with machine guns. There's something to relish about that. So yeah, fairly fun, but certainly not an essential film. One of the women that's part of the Doll Squad here is Tura Sartana, who was so memorable in Russ Meyer's Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, but unfortunately she's given a fairly minor role here and not nearly enough to do, which is a shame. It does have a great score from Nicholas Karas, so that's lively when the film drags. So yeah, this film I think you can get through Vinegar Syndrome, but like I say, yeah, it's not essential, but it is fairly fun in parts. Kumiko the Treasure Hunter from 2014 is a very unusual film. It's directed by David Zellner, an actor-director, and he also appears in the film as a cop. In this film, Rinko Kikuchi plays Kumiko, a Japanese woman who is going through a kind of mental health crisis. She is living in Tokyo in a job where she has no connection with her colleagues. She is depressed, she is single, and her mother scorns her for not being married. And whilst she is there, she discovers on a beach, hidden away, a VHS tape, which when she plays it at home, discovers is the Coen brothers film Fargo. And when she is watching this film, she gets to the scene where Steve Buscemi's character hides a suitcase of money in the snow outside Fargo, and she believes that that money is still there. And so she makes the decision to travel to Minnesota and head off to Fargo in search of this treasure. So yeah, this is a very, very unusual film. It certainly does have lots of references to Fargo in it. It is often very funny, but it also quite poignant and sad as we're following Kumiko's decline of mental health, where she really does need to be believed that the situation she's in is not fake. She has to have conviction that she will find this money, and so she encounters a number of people along the way, and we as the viewers also kind of have to believe in her so that the film can have a happy ending. So yeah, this is a very, very strange film. Lots of references to the Coen brothers film Fargo. Like I say, there's also lots of good funny scenes, but it is also quite sad and touching as well. So yeah, an unusual film this, and at this point I do just want to give a special mention to Into the Blue. I've just only recently discovered his channel, but yeah, great channel, and he really can talk well about summarizing movies. My hat off to him. So he's just recently talked about this film on his channel, and spoke in better words than I can express. But yeah, a very interesting film, so thanks for bringing this one to my attention, Carl. The Five Devils is from 2022 and it's directed by Lea Mesius. This is her second feature film. Now the title might make it sound like this is a horror film, but it's not. It's actually just an unusual kind of drama that uses an intriguing plot device to tell its story. Now what we essentially have here is a young 10-year-old girl, Vicky, who has mixed race parents, and she clearly dotes upon her mother, but there's less of a connection with her father, and we're not entirely sure of the dynamics of this family at the start of the film. Now the strange thing with Vicky is that she has a very heightened sense of smell, and she's able to recreate scents as well by placing various objects and liquids into jars and then getting a scent of that when she sniffs that jar. So the family dynamics change when her father, Jimmy's sister, Julia, comes to stay with them, and there's something strange about her appearance as well. She's bruised, and there's some slight mention of mental health issues, so we're not exactly sure what has happened there. But things change when Vicky gets a scent of Julia, and this scent actually transports her back in time, and she begins to witness previous events in the lives of her mother, father, and Julia, and then ultimately this is a story that is about this young girl's questioning of her own existence and how her parents' lives could have gone in a different path. So yeah, this is a very, very unusual film. I'm not entirely sure if it all worked in terms of the use of this plot device of the smell and transporting back and forth in time for that, but nonetheless it was very intriguing, and I did really like the fact that this stars Adele Exarchopoulos, who I think is becoming just a really, really fascinating actress. It's been 10 years now since she starred in Blue is the Warmest Colour alongside Léa Seydoux. That was a very controversial film when it came out, but was a very significant film for them both, and she actually won the Palme d'Or, I think, one of the youngest actresses to do that. Yeah, since then perhaps Léa Seydoux has had perhaps more of an international profile, and she's appeared in things like Bond movies as well as Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch, but Adele Exarchopoulos has just carried on with the French films, and perhaps not received quite the same amount of attention, but yeah, she's doing some fascinating work. I really enjoyed the film that she did fairly recently called Zero Fucks Given, and yeah, now with this film she turns in another really interesting performance. She's the kind of actress where you just can't quite tell exactly what's going on with her. There's a kind of rebel nature to her, but there's a discipline as well to her acting style, but yeah, she's very expressive and obviously attractive as well, but yeah, just a really fascinating actress, I think, and definitely one I'll be glad to see more work that she does. So there you have it. That's just me waffling on about a few films that I've seen recently. Do let me know if you've seen any of these films. I will be interested in any comments that you may have. Thanks very much for watching. Please do join me again for some more movie talk, and I will see you next time. Thanks very much. Bye bye.